afternoon, everyone. Today we will be conducting the pre-bid conference for 5 civil works projects. To start with, please all stand for a prayer.
Let us pray with the Father, Son, and Spirit. Almighty God, and Father, we praise and thank you for this day. You have given us another opportunity to appreciate life, and to fulfill our mission and strengthen the peace and purpose. Please pardon us for our shortcomings. Help us to lament our infirmities. Pray we learn to pattern our lives through your Son's example. Father, let us abide in their voice, especially today as we conduct a public conference. Guide us in our discussions. Enlighten our minds in every decision that we make. Give us the grace to be dedicated to our parts as public servants. Bless our plans, programs, and projects, so that we may achieve our objectives for your greater glory. All this we ask in Jesus' name, amen.
I introduce to you our back chairperson, Engineer Nate Abiano. And for our back members, we have Engineer Joy Villanueva, Engineer Electura Zulia, Engineer Aaron Amboy, and Miss Joy Despar. And for our back DPWH, we have Engineer Flor Angel Gananan, Miss Gail Candice Cañete, Engineer Rona Ortiz, Engineer Led Joy Galindo. And we have here a representative from Planning and Design Section, Engineer Janelle Elevencioni. And for our back set member, we have Miss Cherry Ska and Miss Ebony Valio. We don't have any representative from prospective bidders who attended this afternoon pre-bid conference.
Contract ID 24GE0057. Concreting of Sitio Badyang 1 to Sitio Badyang 2, Barangay Igcawayan, FMR, Barangay Igcawayan, San Lorenzo, Guimaras. Location, Igcawayan, San Lorenzo, Guimaras, with an ABC of 14,925,000. Source of fund, FY 2024 GAA. Contract duration, 119 calendar days. Cost of bidding documents, 25,000 pesos. Contract ID 24GE0058. Concreting of Sitio Liningwan, Barangay Maabay, FMR, Barangay Maabay, Sibunag, Guimaras. Location, Maabay, Sibunag, Guimaras, with an ABC of 14,925,000 pesos. Source of fund, FY 2024 GAA. Contract duration, 119 calendar days. Cost of bidding documents, 25,000 pesos. Contract ID 24GE0059. Concreting of Sitio Camulong, Barangay Maabay, FMR, Barangay Maabay, Sibunag, Guimaras. Location, Maabay, Sibunag, Guimaras, with an APC of 14,925,000 pesos. Source of fund, FY 2024 GAA. Contract duration, 119 calendar days. Cost of bidding documents, 25,000 pesos. Contract ID 24GE0060. Concreting of Sitio Taras, Barangay Calaya, FMR, Barangay Calaya, Nueva, Valencia, Guimaras. Location, Calaya, Nueva, Valencia, Guimaras, with an APC of 14,925,000 pesos. Source of funds, FY 2024 GAA. Contract duration, 120 calendar days. Cost of bidding documents, 25,000 pesos. Contract ID 24GE0061. Concreting of Sitio Taras, Barangay Ayangan, FMR, Barangay Ayangan, Sibunag, Guimaras. Location, Ayangan, Sibunag, Guimaras, with an APC of 14,925,000 pesos. Source of funds, FY 2024 GAA. Contract duration, 120 calendar days. Cost of bidding documents, 25,000 pesos. The scope of works for Contract ID 24GE0057, 24GE0058, 24GE0059, 24GE0060, and 24GE0061. Part B, Other General Requirements. Part C, Earthworks. Part D, Sub-Base and Base Course. Part E, Surface Courses. Part F, Bridge Construction. Part G, Drainage and Slope Protection Structures. Part H, Miscellaneous Structures. The required pickup license for 24GE0057, 24GE0058, 24GE0059, 24GE0060, and 24GE0061 are as follows. Size range, medium A. License category B, single largest project above 10 million pesos up to 100 million pesos. Allowable range of contract cost up to 100 million pesos. Major categories of works for 24GE0057, 24GE0058, 24GE0059, 24GE0060, and 24GE0061, RCP Roads Construction PCCP. Similar categories of works: roads rehabilitation PCCP, roads construction tunnel PCCP. Qualifiers: must have completed reconstruction and reblocking including base course covering 50% of the item of works of the project. May include airport runways, taxiways, and aprons. General conditions of contract.
Notes on the general conditions of contract. The general conditions of contract in this section read in conjunction with the special condition of contract in section 5 and other documents listed therein should be a complete document expressing all the rights and obligations of the parties. Matters governing performance of the contractor, payment under the contract, or matters affecting the risks, rights, and obligation of the parties under the contract are included in the GCC and special conditions of contract. Any complementary information which may be needed shall be introduced only through the special conditions of contract. Scope of contract. The contract shall include all such items, although not specifically mentioned, that can be reasonably inferred as being required for its completion as if such item were expressly mentioned herein. All the provision of RA number 9184 and its 2016 revised IRR, including the generic procurement manual and associated issuances, constitute the primary source for the terms and conditions of the contract and those applicable in contract implementation. Herein clauses shall serve as the secondary source for the terms and conditions of the contract. This is without prejudice to section 74.1 and 74.2 of the 2016 revised IRR or RA number 9184, allowing the GPPB to amend the IRR, which shall be applied to all procurement activities, the advertisement, posting, or invitation of which were issued after the effectivity of the said amendments. Sectional completion of works. If sectional completion is specified in the special condition of contracts, references and the conditions of contract to the works, the completion date and the intended completion date shall apply to any section of the works, other than references to the completion date and intended completion date for the whole of the works. Possession of site. The procuring entity shall give possession of all or parts of the site to the contractor based on the schedule of the delivery indicated in the ECC, which corresponds to the execution of the works. If the contractor suffers delay or incurs cost from failure on the part of the procuring entity to give possession in accordance with the terms of this clause, the procuring entity's representative shall give the contractor a contract time extension and certify such sum offered to cover the cost incurred, which sum shall be paid by procuring entity. If possession of a portion is not given by the above date, the procuring entity will be deemed to have delayed the start of the relevant activities. The resulting adjustment in contract time to address such delay may be addressed through contract extension provided under Annex E of the 2016 revised IRR of RA number 9184. The contractor's obligation. The contractor shall employ the key personnel named in the schedule of key personnel indicating their designation in accordance with ITB Clause 10.3 and specified in the BDS to carry out the supervision of the works. The procuring entity will approve any proposed replacement of key personnel only if the relevant qualification and abilities are equal to or better than those of the personnel listed in the schedule. Performance security. Within 10 calendar days from receipt of the notice of award from the procuring entity, but in no case later than the signing of the contract by both parties, the successful bidder shall furnish the performance security in any of the forms prescribed in Section 39 of the 2016 revised IRR. The contractor, by entering into the contract with the procuring entity, acknowledges the right of the procuring entity to institute action pursuant to RA number 3688 against any subcontractor, be they an individual, firm, partnership, corporation, or association supplying the contractor with labor, materials, or equipment for the performance of this contract. Site investigation reports. The contractor, in preparing the bid, shall rely on any site investigation reports referred to in the SCC supplemented by any information obtained by the contractor. Warranty. In case the contractor fails to undertake the repair works under the Section 62.2.2 of the 2016 revised IRR, the procuring entity shall forfeits its performance security, subjects its properties to attachment or garnishment proceedings, and perpetually disqualify it from participating in any public bidding. All payables of the GOP in its favor shall be offset to recover the costs. The warranty against structural defects or failures, except the occasion on force majeure, shall cover the period from the date of issuance of the certificate of final acceptance by the procuring entity. Specific duration of the warranty is found in the SCC. Liability of the contractor, subject to additional provisions, if any, set forth in the SCC, the contractor's liability under this contract shall be as provided by the laws of the Republic of the Philippines. If the contractor is a joint venture, all partners to the joint venture shall be jointly and severally liable to the procuring entity. Termination for other causes. Contract termination shall be initiated in case it is determined prima facie by the procuring entity that the contractor has engaged before or during the implementation of the contract in unlawful deeds and behaviors relative to the contract acquisition and implementation, such as, but not limited to corrupt, fraudulent, collusive, coercive, and obstructive practices as stated in ITB Clause 4.
Day works. Subject to the guidelines on variation order in Annex A of the 2016 revised IRR of RA number 9184, and if applicable as indicated in the ECC, the day works rates in the contractor's bid shall be used for small additional amounts of work only when the procuring entity's representative has given written instructions in advance for additional work to be paid for in that way. Number 11, program of work. The contractor shall submit to the procuring entity's representative for approval the said program of work showing the general methods, arrangements, order, and timing for all the activities in the works. The submissions of the program of work are indicated in the ECC. The contractor shall submit to the procuring entity's representative for approval an updated program of work at intervals no longer than the period stated in the ECC. If the contractor does not submit an updated program of work within this period, the procuring entity's representative may withhold the amount stated in the ECC from the next payment certificate and continue to withhold this amount until the next payment after the date on which the overdue program of work has been submitted. 12. Instructions, inspections, and audits. The contractor shall permit the GOP or the procuring entity to inspect the contractor's accounts and records relating to the performance of the contractor and to have them audited by auditors of the GOP or the procuring entity as may be required. The 13. Advance payment. The procuring entity shall, upon a written request of the contractor, which shall be submitted as a contract document, make an advance payment to the contractor in an amount not exceeding 15% of the total contract price to be made in lump sum or at the most through installments according to a schedule specified in the ECC, subject to the requirements in Annex E of the 2016 revised IRR of RA number 9184. 14. Progress payments. The contractor may submit a request for payment for work accomplished. Such request for payment shall be verified and certified by the procuring entity's representative, project engineer. Except as otherwise stipulated in the ECC, materials and equipment delivered on site but not completely put in place shall not be included for payment. Number 15, operating and maintenance manuals. If required, the contractor will provide as-built drawings and or operating and maintenance manuals as specified in the ECC. If the contractor does not provide the drawings or manuals by the date stated above, or they do not receive the procuring entity's representative's approval, the procuring entity's representative may withhold the amount stated in the ECC from payments due to the contractor.
Special conditions of contract. Notes on the special conditions of contract. Similar to the BDS, the clauses in this section are intended to assist the procuring entity in providing contract-specific information in relation to corresponding clauses in the GCC found in Section 4. The special conditions of contract complement the GCC, specifying contractual requirements linked to the special circumstances of the procuring entity, the procuring entity's country, the sector, and the works procured. In preparation of this section, the following aspects should be checked. Information that complements provision of the GCC must be incorporated. Amendments and or supplements to provision of the GCC as necessitated by the circumstances of the specific purchase must also be incorporated. However, no special condition which defeats or negates the general intent and purpose of the provision of GCC should be incorporated here. GCC clause number 2. The intended completion date is 80 calendar days from the effective date of the contract. GCC clause 7.2, 5 years. GCC clause 10. Day works are applicable at the rate shown in the contractor's original bid. GCC clause 13. The amount of the advance payment shall not exceed 15% of the total contract price and the schedule of payment. Specifications. Notes on specification. A set of precise and clear specification is a prerequisite for bidders to respond realistically and competitively to the requirements of the procuring entity without qualifying or conditioning their bids. In the context of international competitive bidding, the specification must be drafted to permit the widest possible competition and at the same time present a clear statement of the required standards of workmanship, materials, and performance of goods and services to be procured. Only if this is done, the objectives of the economy, efficiency, and fairness in procurement be realized. Responsiveness of bids be ensured and the subsequent task of bid evaluation facilitated. But the specification should require that all goods and materials to be incorporated in the works be new, unused, of the most recent or current model, and incorporate all recent improvements in design and materials unless provided otherwise in the contract. Sample specifications from previous material similar projects are useful in this respect. The use of metric units is mandatory. Most specifications are normally written specially by the procuring entity or its representative to suit the works at hand. There is no standard set of specifications for universal application in all sectors in all regions, but there are established principles and practices which are reflected in these PBDs. There are considerable advantages in standardizing general specification for repetitive works in recognized public sectors such as highways, ports, railways, urban housing, irrigation, and water supply in the same country or region where similar conditions prevail. The general specifications should cover all classes of workmanship, materials, and equipment commonly involved in construction, although not necessarily to be used in a particular works contract. Deletion rather than thou should then adopt the general specification of particular works. Care must be taken in drafting specification to ensure that they are not restrictive. In the specification of standard for goods, materials, and workmanship, recognized international standards should be used as much as possible. Where other particular standards are used, whether national standards or other standards, the specification should state that goods, materials, and workmanship that meet other authoritative standards and which ensure substantially equal or higher quality than the standards mentioned will also be acceptable. The following clause may be inserted in the SEC. Sample clause, equivalency of standards and codes. Wherever reference is made in the contract to specific standards and codes to be met by the goods and materials to be furnished, in work performed or tested, the provisions of the latest current edition or revision of the relevant standards and codes in effect shall apply, unless otherwise expressly stated in the contract. Where such standards and codes are national, or relative to a particular country or region, other authoritative standards that ensure a substantially equal or higher quality than the standards and codes specified will be accepted, subject to the procuring entity's representatives' prior review and written consent. Differences between the standard specified and the proposed alternative standard shall be fully described in writing by the contractor and submitted to the procuring entity's representative at least 28 days prior to the date when the contractor's desires the procuring entity's representative's consent. In the event the procuring entity's representative determines that such proposed deviations do not ensure substantially equal or higher quality, the contractor shall comply with the standards specified in the documents. These notes are intended only as information for the procuring entity or the person drafting the bidding documents. They should not be included in the final bidding documents.
For drawings and bill of quantities, please see the uploaded files on PhilJeps and DPWH website. These are the documents comprising the bid. Legal documents. PhilJeps registration, SEC registration or DTI registration, mayor's permit, and tax clearance. Technical documents requirements. Statement of ongoing contracts, statement of bidder's single largest completed contracts, pickup license or special pickup JB license, bid security, organizational chart, list of contractors' major equipment, list of contractors' minimum materials testing equipment, omnibus sworn statement, ITR and financial statement, NFCC computation, valid joint venture agreement if applicable. Financial documents requirements, financial bid form, bid of quantities, detailed estimates including summary sheet, quarterly, monthly cash flow, and payment schedule. All documents shall be printed in A4 format, tabbed and bounded. Please attach the bidding documents in the technical component of your bid. For bids to be submitted electronically online, the following procedures should be observed following DO 87 series of 2020. Number 1, submission of electronic official receipt of purchase of the bidding documents. Number 2, confirmation of the electronically submitted official receipt. Number 3, preparation and submission of an electronic bid. Number 4, modification of an electronic bid. Number 5, non-participation in the bidding. Number 6, withdrawal of electronic bid. Number 7, opening of the electronic bid. Number 8, final convention in case of a joint venture bidder. Bid opening for 24GE 0057, 24GE 0058, and 24GE 0059 shall be on March 20, 2024 Wednesday, and for 24GE 0060 and 24GE 0061 shall be on March 21, 2024 Thursday, 9 a.m. at second floor, bidding room DPWH Guimaras District Engineering Office, San Miguel, Hordan, Guimaras. Bids will be open in the presence of the bidder's representative who choose to attend. Late bids shall not be accepted. Bid submission may be done manually or electronically online. However, bidders should only select one mode of submission, either manual or electronic. Similar to manual submission, the guidelines for the preparation and submission of an electronic bid are contained in the BDS. Bids must be duly received by the Back Secretariat for manual submission or at electronic_Guimaras@dpwh.gov.ph for electronic submission on or before March 20, 2024 and March 21, 2024 respectively at 9 a.m. All bids must be accompanied by a bid security in any of the acceptable forms and in the amount stated in ITB Clause 18. Any clarification for the project? No clarification. Since there's no representative from the prospective